And I was more careful about what sort of petrol I put into my car than what I put into the taxi when I was having a meal.
Bolj sem bila pozorna, kakšno vrsto goriva sem dala v svoj avto, kakor kakšno hrano sem dajala v svoje telo, takrat, ko sem zaužívala hrano.
And being a woman, I tried to make it look okay. I'm in the taxi. But that was about it.
Ker sem ženska, sem probala poskrbeti za to, da je taksi lepo izgledal, ampak to je bilo približno vse.
And then I got cancer, and I was very angry with my body, and I thought, well, my body has betrayed me, although it was I who had betrayed my body.
Potem sem dobila raka in sem bila zelo jezna na svoje telo, kajti imela sem občutek, da je moje telo izdalo mene, medtem ko je resnica, da sem jaz izdala svoje telo.
And I believe that any kind of illness is a message from the body that things are not what they should be and better do something about it.
Prepričana sem, da je vsaka vrsta bolezni sporočilo našega telesa, da nekaj ni v redu in da bi bilo potrebno nekaj spremeniti oziroma ukreniti.
So an ordinary small thing like a cold or a tummy upset is a kind of wake-up call, like the alarm clock in the morning.
Torej, tudi manjša zadeva, kot je prehlad ali pa da nas boli trebuh, je neke vrste wake-up call, se pravi neki klic za zbujenje, tako kot je naša budilka zjutraj, ko se zbudi.
But when you get something really serious like cancer or heart trouble or whatever, that is an alarm call. Alarm, for goodness sake, do something, otherwise you die.
Ko pa dobite kakšno resno bolezen, kot so srčne težave ali pa rak, je pa to alarm. Alarm v smislu, za Božjo voljo nekaj morate ukreniti.
So now I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how we have to change our attitude to the body so that it's no longer a taxi, but something totally different.
Torej, rada bi govorila o tem, kako bi morali spremeniti naše telo, tako da ne ostane taksi, vendar postane nekaj drugega.
Nice. Very nice. We have to begin to think of the body as a wonderful precision instrument, like a very expensive Swiss watch.
Morali bi začeti razmišljati o našem telesu kot o dragocenem aparatu, mašini, napravi, tako kot recimo zelo draga švicarska ura.
But when I say a precision instrument, not machine.
Torej, gospa uporablja izraz inštrument, ne naprava oziroma stroj.
Because it's alive, and every single bit of it, like in a Swiss watch, hangs together with every other bit.
Ta inštrument je živ in vsak majhen košček tega instrumenta, kot v švicarski uri, je na nek način povezan z ostalimi deli tega instrumenta.
We have trillions of cells, nobody quite knows how many, but an awful lot. And every single cell has its purpose and has its own intelligence.
Imamo milijarde celic v našem telesu, nobeden ne ve točno koliko, in vsaka taka celica ima svoj namen in tudi svojo inteligenco.
And if you just consider the miracle of you having lunch and say, I hope you have a big salad, how does that salad become energy, hair, skin, blood? It's the body's intelligence that does it. It's a miracle.
Če razmislite, je pravi čudež, da ko recimo imate kosilo, upam, da salato, na kakšen način se potem ta salata spremeni v energijo, v kri in ostale sestavine v telesu, oziroma dele telesa, to je neke vrste čudež.
How does a wound heal? It's not the doctor who heals it. We just make it clean and put on a plaster or a bandage, but it's the body that heals it, not us.
Če imate rano, na kakšen način telo poskrbi, da se rana zaceli? To ni zdravnik, ki bi rano zacelil, temveč je naše telo.
So I'm only bringing up these very simple examples to make us all consider how respectful we have to be to our bodies, because it's much cleverer than we are.
Te primere podelim z vami zaradi tega, da bi razumeli, s kakšnim spoštovanjem moramo ravnati z našim telesom, kajti naše telo je bolj inteligentno, kot smo mi sami.
And once you accept that, your whole attitude begins to change, and that means that your lifestyle will also change.
In ko to dejstvo sprejmete, se bojo stvari začele spreminjati, vaše telo začele spreminjati in s tem se bo začel spreminjati tudi način vašega življenja.
We must understand that the body wants to live. The body is like a healthy animal, it wants to live.
Moramo razumeti, da telo kot zdrava žival želi živeti.
So it's terribly important that what we do in our daily lives doesn't go against the body's wish, not only to live, but also to be healthy.
Pomembno je, da se zavedamo, da tisto, kar počnemo v vsakdanjem življenju, ne sme delovati proti želji, nameri telesa, ne samo, da živi, ampak da živi zdravo.
And if I consider the way I lived before I got cancer with my 25 cigarettes a day, I know, yes, awful, and rather strange food, and occasionally, well, I worked in journalism and radio, and after work we went to the bar and we had a whiskey or two, and my poor body had to deal with that.
Predno sem dobila raka, sem kadila 25 cigaret na dan, jedla nenavadno hrano, čudno hrano, in ker sem delala v medijih, na radiju, smo včasih šli po službi v bar in smo zaužili tudi nekaj alkohola. Grozne stvari sem svojemu telesu delala.
Plus the stress, of course, and everything else. So it's a miracle that we are not all in bed terribly sick.
Tudi stres je bil zraven in pravi čudež je, da nismo vsi skupaj nekako v postelji bolani.
So what does all this mean? It means that we have to learn to listen to the body's real needs, not what we think we need.
Pomeni, da moramo naučiti se prisluhniti telesu in njegovim potrebam, ne tistemu, kar mi mislimo, da telo potrebuje.
Because I was absolutely convinced that in order to do my job properly, I needed 25 cigarettes a day.
Popolnoma sem bila prepričana, da z ciljem, da dobro opravim svoje delo, da preprosto potrebujem 25 cigaret na dan.
So, listen to what the body needs. The body needs clean, good food with enough nutrients for it to be able to do its job.
Poslušajte telo. Telo potrebuje dobro hrano z dosti hranili, zaradi tega, da lahko opravi svojo funkcijo.
Which I'm afraid means organic food.
In bojim se, da to pomeni, da potrebuje ekološko hrano.
Because if you look at the sort of, oh, I'm really losing my voice. If you look at the sort of food you buy in the average supermarket, it was grown, I'm talking about vegetables, it was grown on soil which had very, very poor quality. It was then treated by the food industry, adding what we politely call food cosmetics.
Če pogledate hrano, ki jo kupite v običajnih konvencionalnih trgovinah, in sedaj govorim o sadju in zelenjavi, ta hrana, to zelenjava je zrastla v zemlji, ki je bila zelo revna Potem, ko je zrastla, pa jo je prehranska industrija opremila, dodala še sestavine, ki jim jaz rečem kozmetika za hrano.
I don't know if you realize that in Europe the food industry uses between 3,000 and 10,000 additives.
Ne vem, če vam je poznano, da samo v Evropi prehranska industrija uporablja od 3,000 do 10,000 dodatkov, prehranskih dodatkov oziroma dodatkov k hrani.
So of course it looks nice, it smells nice, it tastes nice, except that there is no nutrient in it. Otherwise it's fine.
Torej, ta hrana je drugače v redu, dobro izgleda, dobro diši, celo dober okus ima, edina težava je, da nima v sebi pravi hranil.
In fact, a doctor friend of mine says that the greatest achievement of the food industry has been to remove all the nutrients from what they sell.
Moj prijatelj, zdravnik, pravi, da je največji dosežek prehranske industrije je v tem, da so iz hrane uspeli umakniti, ven vzeti vsa hranila.
So the first rule is not to poison poor body, but to give it the best possible clean food we can either grow if we have a garden or buy it in an organic shop if we don't have a garden.
Torej, prvo pravilo je, da svojemu telesu privoščimo, zagotovimo čisto hrano, ki jo, če imamo lastni vrt, sami pridelamo, če nimamo lastnega vrta, kupimo v ekoloških trgovinah oziroma trgovinah z ekološkimi izdelki.
The second thing is not to put anything into the body which the industry would like us to eat because we pay money for it, but which actually doesn't do anything good for us. In other words, don't poison your body with rubbish.
Drugo pravilo je, ne hranite se s stvarmi, ki jih prehranska industrija želi, da jih kupujemo, ker stanejo veliko denarja, vendar naše telo tega ne potrebuje. Z drugimi besedami, ne uživajte smeti.
So, I'm reminded now of a saying by Dr. Richard McInnes, an English doctor, who said that we should only eat food from which nothing has been removed, to which nothing has been added, and which would go bad if we didn't eat it fresh.
Zdravnik, angleški zdravnik Richard McInnes,
yes.
Pove, da bi morali jesti samo tista hrana oziroma živilo, iz katerih ni nič vzeto ven, katerim ni nič dodano in ki bi se pokvarila, če jo v nekaj dneh ne bi prijeli.
He called this the Stone Age diet.
To imenuje dieta kamene dobe,
Which is very good.
ki je zelo dobra.
We had an exhibition recently in London about Stone Age art, and it was fantastic. So if on this food they produce that sort of art, it must have been very good.
Pred časom smo imeli v Londonu razstavo o umetnosti kamene dobe in če so tako lepo umetnost znali ustvarjati, je hrana, ki so jedli, morala biti zelo dobra.
So this is the food. I don't want to go into it too much because there are lots of good sources from which you can find out more about it. But it's really terribly simple. Get as near back to nature as you possibly can, because we are parts of nature. Whatever else we may think, we are not superior, we are parts of it.
Toliko o hrani, ne bi želela več govoriti o tem, ker je veliko kvalitetnih virov, iz katerih lahko zveste več o vlogi hrane. Mi smo del hrane in zaradi tega moramo čim bolj naravno hrano uživati. Mi smo del narave, se upravičujem, zaradi tega že moramo čim bolj naravno hrano uživati.
The next thing which is important is to listen to the body, because we don't.
Naslednja stvar, ki je zelo pomembna, je prisluhniti telesu, poslušati telo, ker ponavadi tega ne počnemo.
We simply don't realize that if we have a symptom, for instance, say I have a headache, Say I have a headache 3 times a week. Every time I take a painkiller, not realizing that that headache is a message from my body.
Kot primer, če imamo glavobol 3-krat na teden, vzamemo sredstvo proti bolečini in se ne zavedamo, da je glavobol sporočilo, to je simptom, to je sporočilo našega telesa, da nekaj ni v redu.
The body's language is the symptom. Whatever symptom we get, it is a message. It's not something you have to get rid of any old how and go on as before, business as usual.
Vsaka bolečina je sporočilo telesa. To ni nekaj, česar se moramo čim prej znebiti, to je simptom. In se ga ne smemo znebiti zaradi tega, da bi lahko nadaljevali kot do sedaj.
And unfortunately, our doctors, I'm not against medicine, I respect it enormously, but I do deplore this business of you tell your doctor that something is wrong and he or she prescribes something and doesn't look at the cause. Why is it there?
Jaz nisem proti medicini, vendar nisem za način. Ko pridete k zdravniku, mu poveste, kakšen simptom imate in vam zdravnik predpiše zdravilo, ki naj ta simptom odpravi.
And it's rather funny, some time ago I spoke to one doctor who wasn't my sort of person really, and she wanted to prescribe painkillers, and I said, but I have no pain, but I must prescribe you some painkillers. And I said, I have no pain.
Sem bila pred časom
That's what I'm talking about.
pri zdravnici, ki ni bila ravno oseba, s katero bi se dobro razumela. In ta zdravnica mi je na vsak način hotela predpisati sredstva proti bolečinam. In jaz se nisem pustila in sem rekla, sej nimam nobenih bolečin, vendar je zdravnica vztrajala, jaz vam moram predpisati nekaj proti bolečin.
So please begin to listen to your body. Even a slight backache means that your posture perhaps should be looked at. Maybe you spend too much time at the computer without standing up every hour and doing something for 5 minutes to relieve the stress. Listen.
Prosim, poslušajte svoje telo. Poslušajte ga. Celo neznatna bolečina v hrbtu je sporočilo, da si morda predolgo sedite pred računalnikom, ne da bi vsako uro malo ustali, pa malo se razgibali. Vsaka bolečina je sporočilo vašega telesa.
I work as a psychotherapist and I have a lot of experience with people who, when they have symptoms, don't go to the doctor because they don't want to bother the doctor.
Imam veliko znancev, ko imajo bolečine, ne želijo iti k zdravniku, ker jih ne želijo zdravnike nadlegovati.
And it's a tragic mistake because sometimes they postpone things until something really big goes wrong.
In to je tragična napaka, ker včasih se zgodi, da odlašajo zadevami, odlašajo, preden se zgodi nekaj, kar je zelo hudega.
But anyway, it's not so much a matter of going to the doctor because some people go immediately, even if they just had a slight cold. But this business of listening, what does my body tell me? Where am I going wrong?
Ne gre za to, da morate takoj zdravniku, nekateri grejo zdravniku takoj ob najmanjšem prehladu. Gre bolj za to, da se naučite prisluhniti svojemu telesu in potem ugotoviti, kaj je tisto, kar počnem narobe.
I'm not encouraging anybody to become a hypochondriac because that would be wrong.
Nikogar ne bi rada spodbudila, da bi postal hipohondar, zaradi tega, ker to je napačno.
And I had a colleague at the BBC who was traveling for television and he always carried a box that big full of every possible remedy because he was a hypochondriac. He never needed it because he was perfectly healthy.
Imela sem kolega pri BBC, kjer je delala gospa, ki je sabo nosil veliko škatlo, kamorkoli so šli, z raznimi zdravili in je preprosto potreboval to škatlo, čeprav sami zdravil noter nikoli ni potreboval, ker je bil pač hipohondar.
And there is a joke, what is on the gravestone of a hypochondriac, it says, now will you believe me.
Obstaja šala, ki pravi, kaj je na grobnem kamnu hipohondrika, in napis na grobnem kamnu je, no, a mi zdaj verjamete.
Anyway, later on you can ask questions. I want to go on now the next bit. And the next bit is just as important as nutrition and listening. And by that I mean the body-mind link, or body-psyche link, if you prefer it.
Rada bi prišla na naslednjo temo, ki je zelo pomembna, in to je povezava med našim razumom in med našim telesom.
This is particularly important because some 400 years ago, the great French philosopher Descartes decided that there was the body and there was the rest of it, of the human being, and that the two So there's no out here? It's all.
Pred 400 leti je francoski filozof Descartes odločil se je, da obstaja telo in obstaja tisto drugo.
Is that better now?
Yes.
Oh, now? Thank you. So he said that there is the body and there is the rest of us, and the two have nothing to do with each other.
Torej, odločil se je, da obstaja telo in ostali del in da te dve stvari nimata ena z drugim ničesar.
Now what most people don't know is, can you hear me? Yes, I can. Is that better?
A slišite?
No, I can't talk any louder. I'm sorry. I don't have a voice. It's a symptom.
To je simptom.
Maybe it says that I should shut up.
Mogoče to pomeni, da bi morala prekiniti.
No, is that better? I'm sorry.
I can see.
No, it's okay.
Everybody knows.